sponsors roll on?
Oh yeah, let me turn that on.
All right. So we're live. Are we live on Facebook or what?
We're live on Facebook and YouTube in our MMA Fight Pass profile.
Well, welcome everybody. If we got anybody tuned in, I know a lot of the people watch the show afterwards. That people will come back and watch it. But thank you, Dan Camarillo and Marc Cruz, for joining me today. I really appreciate it. You guys taking time out of your life and coming onto the show. It's an honor. It's always an honor to have you guys on. How you doing, Archie?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Same thing, Dan, Marc. Thank you guys for joining us. And I know some of us are working from home. Dan, sounds like if you are, and you know, and others are just kind of in quarantine.
Yeah, I'm working from home, but you know, just taking things one day at a time. I got to keep the bills paid, you know.
So when you say you're working at home, Dan, are you doing some jujitsu out of your house or what?
No, you know what we're doing is every week we get a real small group together and videotape for the students who are still trying to support the academy, because I've had people ask me, hey, sign me up, put me on, because I want a place to roll when, you know, when this is done. So fortunately enough for us, we do have a lot of support.
That's awesome, man. That was one of the main questions I was going to ask you and Marc right off the bat. What were you guys doing about your gyms? I'm friends with everybody in the area in the Central Valley that has a jiu-jitsu gym, and I know this has probably been a tough time for everybody. But I was pretty stoked to see that you were doing the videos, man, and you're keeping something going for your students. And then Marc, what about you? Are you doing like privates or semi-privates?
No, I did a few, but what I'm doing now is we're doing live broadcasts, and we're using an app called Band that we've been using for a while for communications with all of our members. So we gave all of our members the options on to keep paying and watch the live broadcast classes, or they can pay 50% of what they were paying before, or they can just freeze their account. So we gave those with options in the beginning, and I don't really know what the number is going to be like until another week or so. But till then, we're just going to keep putting on these classes. And I know I did one last night, and I had like maybe 10 live viewers. So a lot of people said they liked it. So that's basically what we're doing right now.
Man, I'm sure I love it when I see you guys doing your things, like keeping it going. And I'm sure your students probably love it too. You probably even got some new people out there that you'll have popping into the gym just from watching the videos. Marc, when this whole virus thing hit, you were just getting ready to hop into a competition, right? That tournament? Weren't you getting ready to do like a grappling tournament at the convention center?
Yeah, I was getting ready to do I was I was literally weighing. I was cutting weight for the next day, and got word that it got canceled the day before. So yeah, it was a no-gi submission only tournament from like 165 to 185 weight class. So I was coming in on the heavy side.
Man, we were pretty excited to see that go down. Is that still going to happen in the future?
Yeah, I think they changed the date to May 16th. So I told them I'll still do it, and I don't care. I'm sure
Ask him how much
talent pool is going to change. Doesn't matter.
Say that again, Dan.
Ask him how much he weighs now.
I'm almost 200 pounds right now.
Oh, nice.
I'll bet you've been eating good in that quarantine.
Yeah, but I'm still lifting. I'm still lifting. I'm just not rolling as much. So it's just, I'm not getting all the cardio that I was getting before, because I was rolling like 2 and 3 times a day sometimes, so I was rolling a ton.
And as you say that, I mean, that brings a question to both you and Dan, Marc, because you guys have been rolling like every day, maybe 7 days a week sometimes, and now all that was taken away. from you and us, and Tom and I also roll around, but not in the frequency that you guys are, of course. How has that changed you, or how's your adjustment to not working out every day?
My biggest thing is missing my students.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I miss my students. I loved walking into the academy and seeing everybody there. That was my biggest thing. Even more than I love the rolling and I love the challenges. We got some tough students in there, and that's fun and all. But just being around them to me is the reward. So I miss everybody, man. I text everybody all the time, just seeing how everyone's doing. Just hope everybody's healthy. So. And
how many years, Dan, had you been consistent in your business without having to shut down like this? How long have you been at it there?
In Bakersfield, 17 to 18 years now. Yeah, 17 years.
Wow.
So you got a real family atmosphere going there. I could tell the couple times that I've been to your gym, it seems like you got a real family type atmosphere. Marc too. Whenever I go to Marc's, I know your students are missing you as much as you're missing them.
Yeah, how's your experience? Go ahead. I was going to say, Marc, how's your experience gone? Just like we asked Dan, what's your experience been like?
Well, it's the same thing. You're going to miss everyone, the camaraderie, that you have with all your friends and students and stuff, and you don't have that same interaction. So yeah, you're gonna miss those people. But I just some people are messaging me and wanting to know what else they can do, and we just started doing the live classes, and I think it's helping out a lot. I got to go to Dan's recently and take part in some of the filming that he was doing, and just being on the mats with some of the guys that were in there, mostly instructors. It was like an awesome feeling. And then we got to train afterwards. I don't know if I should say that, but we did, and it was fun. So I had a good time.
Hey, man, like in all honesty, both of you guys, when you guys do get to go in with a couple students or with each other and get some rolls in these days, are you guys you're not worried at all about the sickness or this virus thing going around? Do you trip out at all on it?
Go ahead, Marc.
Like, how do you feel when your students come in and you're going to get a roll in?
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it for myself. I feel like I have a really strong immune system. To be honest with you, some of these symptoms I felt like I had like last year sometime. I felt like I had water in like my lungs or something. Like I couldn't breathe very good, and I just kept training and eating clean and just trying to take care of myself. And then I had this dry cough, and this was like last year, like October, September, and it had this dry cough for like 6 weeks. I couldn't get rid of. I went to the doctor. They said, "Oh, you kind of have a little bit of pneumonia," And so I got over it. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. There's no telling. But I just really, to be honest with you, I just really don't feel like with the numbers that they show, I don't think they're correct, and I just don't think that we're in as much danger as they say. Obviously people who are older and people who are at medical conditions, previous medical conditions are obviously going to be in more danger than everybody else. But I mean, that's how I feel. So
I'm with you on that. What about you, Dan? You seem like the same way. You seem like a kind of guy that would have a pretty super strong immune system as it is already. What do you think about the mask and people wearing the mask? And do you think that you should be wearing a mask? Or like when I went to work this morning, I work at Costco. Today was the first day that they actually handed us out masks. They took our temperature and they did like little medical some medical questions, little checkup, and then they handed us this mask. And it wasn't mandatory yet to wear the mask, but most of the people were wearing it. And I'm starting to get used to seeing almost every single customer come into the store wearing the mask. I never thought I'd see something like that. What do you guys think about the mask?
Going back to the first question, I'll jump to the mask in a second. I think that we did train. We trained. There was like 7 or 8 of us, and I've only trained twice since we've been on lockdown. Everybody in there is an adult, and most of the people that well, everybody that we train with, they don't even have kids. I'm the only one I think that was training has kids, except Marc. Marc showed up, but Marc only showed up one time. So it should be up to yourself, I believe, and the precaution that we can take. It's a lot of common sense, So I'm not worried about it for myself. And then going back to the mask, I think again, that's a decision that they should be able to make themselves if they're that worried about it. If I was sick, I wouldn't be in public. I don't go in public that much. I've been I barely make a run to the store. Maybe once a week, and it's only to grab something real quick that my kids might need. But other than that, I'm really not worried about it. I'm more worried about the economy. It's not looking good. So
It's not looking good.
I do want to say I don't wish this upon anybody. I don't want to see anybody get sick. I think the long-term effect of the economy is going to be far worse than this virus. That's just my opinion. So.
Man, I know. I'm 45 years old. I never thought I would see something like this, and I haven't seen anything like this in my life. I got a feeling that we're going over the hill, though. We're over that hump, and that we're going to get over it. And I got a strong feeling your guys' jiu-jitsu academies, you're going to get people flooding back in there. And man, I just want to say something. To any of the students that might be watching now, or they're going to watch this later on, and this doesn't just go for Dan and Mark's school, this goes for all the schools in the academies. Man, I really hope I had a school. I don't have a school open right now, but I did. But man, I really hope that the students are taking care of you guys. And even though you're not getting to go in there and train in a full class, I just really hope that the students are still throwing something in, you know what I mean, and contributing to the school. It's all going to come back around, in the future. But I just really hope that everybody's keeping their, contributions going. But what's the first thing you guys are going to do when this little quarantine's over? You got any plans with the family, or maybe you want to get out on your own?
For me, my birthday is on May 1st. So if that's when the quarantine is over, that's one hell of a celebration.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm probably going to go out of town and go train somewhere. And I mean, if the school's open, the school open. I got guys who are going to be itching to get on the mats, and I got enough instructors.
Yeah.
So I may just go out of town, more than likely. I don't know.
That'd be nice.
I have to concentrate on my academy, so I'm not going anywhere.
Yes.
We actually had a wine trip set up for the end of April, which is canceled because I don't think anything's going to be open right now. So the first thing that I know that we have to do is rebuild the academy, I think I need to be there consistently to do that. So,
where were you guys going to go for the wine trip?
Just past Robles. I got my trailer. I was going to take my trailer, and I was going to go with Rodney, actually. Yeah. It was Rodney's idea. Called us up. And, yeah.
Yeah, you better hold off on that one, bud.
Yeah. Yeah, I've drank enough wine. I've drank enough wine this little free time we got at home. So.
Yeah, this quarantine, man, I've been cracking back a few, dude. I'm not going to lie. I don't really normally drink. But, yeah. Archie, what about you, bud?
Hey, so things are going well. Tom, just doing our thing here with our MMA Fight Pass, keeping busy with technology, staying up with with the technology. Obviously, the way we got these 4 screens going on, so it's kind of cool. But other than that, just keep trying to do some workouts here and there in undisclosed locations. Just like I wanted to bring up a topic about the UFC, Tom. I mean, and you guys, Mark and Dan.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, UFC's coming to Limor.
Is that really going to happen, or is that just a fart in the wind?
What do you think, Dan?
I've read a couple things about it. I don't know the facts.
Yeah, I don't know any facts either. I just, from what I've read, I've seen it there.
That's all he's trying to buy an island, right?
Yeah,
yeah, international fights in an island, and West or United States fights here in Limor. I think I'm inclined more to say that I think it's going to happen. I haven't.
It's an Indian reservation. I don't see how they can stop it.
Hey, explain
Yeah.
something to me, guys. Is the island, is that like the name of their little resort thing out there, or what's the deal at the Tachi Palace?
No, no,
Do they
he's
call
talking.
it the
He's
island or
talking
something?
about really buying an island for UFC
Or was he?
or what?
He's borrowing
was a
somebody's
front.
island.
But then
It
I've
was a
also read
front.
he's supposed to go to that Tachi Palace, which is an Indian reservation, and probably still open right now, for all I know.
It's probably still
Well, I
rolling,
think-
bro.
It's probably still rolling, dude. They don't care.
Hey, well, those casinos, when they're on Indian reservations, they're like their own sovereign nation. And sometimes a lot of the rules don't apply to them. So if anyone's going to hold a fight somewhere, it's probably going to be on a reservation if it's going to be, right when this whole thing is getting to a close. So, I mean, that makes sense, So.
Yeah, and you know what
Hey,
I think,
dude,
what Tom I
go
was going
ahead,
to say
go ahead,
is
brother.
is that they have the whole resort there, right? They got a hotel room to keep everybody in their own rooms. They have a place to host the fights, I'm sure, and the only thing that's kind of interesting is behind the scenes medically, right? I'm sure these guys are going to bring in all their doctors and a big crew. I mean, they're going to have to set up their own little hospital there somewhere, I'm guessing. What do you think, Tom?
Hey, the test is really not that big of a deal. Like I said, Costco Wholesale is a big company, and that's who I work for. And now every morning when we go into work, they have to run us through that test. And it wasn't that big of a deal. It's not, as long as you can pass that thermometer test and pass a couple questions, you're good to go.
I think that's just like a little quick medical screening, just looking for initial symptoms, So if you have like a fever, they're not going to work,
So they don't grab down below and make you cough?
They didn't stick their thumb up my ass or anything like that. Not yet. The guy was kind of licking his lips, though. The guy was kind of smiling and licking his lips. So I was waiting for him to ask, but he didn't, though. But anyhow, hey, man. Hey, all four of us here have been out there at Tachi plenty of times for those WEC fights.
Yeah.
Even before the Tachi fights. That's some sacred ground right there, man.
Yeah.
So I can see it going down. What sucks, though, is that they're not going to let us fans go out there.
Yeah, no, they're going to keep it secluded.
Oh yeah,
I got a feeling there'll be some way.
It's a big entertainment ground for. It's a perfect place to have this. I mean, they got their bowling alley, they got a movie theater. I mean, they're going to entertain everybody that shows up. I mean, I think it's going to be okay. I venture to say, we'll see.
They got their own bowling alley.
Yeah, I went out there right before they apparently closed down, and they've expanded that place like crazy. There's so many new places to eat there: movie theater, bowling alley, arcade center. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been out there, man. Well, man, that's crazy, man.
Hey, we had a question, Tom, from James Gilliland, actually. His question was to Dan. James is a guy that works with us on our MMA Fight Pass. They were wondering if Dan, you're ever going to compete again. There's a lot of these one-on-one tournaments that like Fight to Win and 559 Fights is doing. Have you ever been invited? You think you'll ever do one of those? Like Fight to Win equivalent.
I want to do Fight to Win. I would like to do a jiu-jitsu match and a judo match in the same night.
Ooh.
So get two down in one night. But my goal, I got to get down to 185. I'm just too heavy right now. Too heavy.
There's a question. There's a question that we get, that me and Archie get all the time about, and nobody wants to ask you, man. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, like throwing questions out there or anything, but Archie's gotten this question over and over too. But everybody, Chris Ronquillo and just multiple people, they want to see you compete, bro. I want to see you compete too. I didn't know if you're going through any injuries or what the deal is anymore.
No, I've more worried about my weight because I know it slows me down and I don't have the gas. So what I need to do is get back into shape. I was on a good path, and then now we got locked up. I was down to 193, and I wanted to get to 185. Now I'm back up to 200. So it's a little tough, But yeah, I don't want anybody out there to feel like they're gonna offend me or anything. They can ask me, they can come up to me, introduce themselves to me. I like meeting people, and they can ask me pretty much anything. I'm gonna tell them. So,
That's what I always tell
eventually,
people, man.
I feel good. I'm healthy. I don't have injuries. I do want to fight. So yeah, hopefully soon.
The match that everybody always asks me is this is the question that I always get from everybody is they want to see Dan Camarillo go against Tom Knox out there, and that would be at 185. Would that be? Is that where that would be?
I don't know. I think he even fights lighter than that. I'm not sure. But you know, whatever. I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes or anything either. You know.
That's why I hate asking questions like that.
I do get a lot of questions like, who do you want to fight? There's nobody in particular, but they always push, you know, hey, fight Tom. It'd be a good match, stuff like that. And I don't know. We'll see one of these days.
Oh man, yeah. I think there's such here in the Central Valley now. There's such an honorable group of all you guys that are right around that weight that any of them would be awesome. But I love that fight to win show, man. What do you haven't competed in that yet, Dan?
No, but I've commentated plenty of them. Yeah.
Okay.
No, not yet.
And so they'll do. You think they'll do that? They'll do a judo match and they do both of those in one night.
They probably let me. They probably let me do that. Yeah.
That'd be so sick.
Yeah.
What about you, Mark?
It'd be fun.
Right. Hey, well, Dan, would that be the same opponent or a different opponent for judo and jiu-jitsu? Did it matter? Would it matter?
I don't care if they're going to stand with me. They're going to have trouble unless they would have to get somebody who's really good at judo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the judo side, they'd have to be real good at stand up. I don't think you'd want a jiu-jitsu guy who's never done stand up to, you know, try to do the judo side. That's not going to work. Yeah.
It'd be way more exciting too to see you against another judo player in the judo match. You know what I mean? To do that part. One of my favorite memories of you, Dan, the first time before I had ever met you, it was U.S. Open in Santa Cruz, I believe, and you were a blue belt. Tell me if you remember this match. And I don't remember the gentleman's name, but it was you as a blue belt. It was at the U.S. Open in Santa Cruz, and you came out and you grabbed the guy. As soon as you grabbed him, I believe it was a Diashi foot sweep. And as soon as he hit the mat, you arm locked him. Do you remember that match?
Yeah, I remember it real well.
Yeah,
it's on my highlight video. Then Glepler Luciano was the ref. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my foot sweeps at the time were I was doing real well with them at that time. Yeah. You could say he walked right into it.
Right.
Hey, those old U.S. Opens, those old U.S. Opens in Santa Cruz were really something else, weren't they?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but the U.S. Open and the Joe Moreira Nationals were the top jiu-jitsu tournaments we had. We didn't have PANs. We didn't have IBJJF Worlds here in the U.S. yet.
Nope.
And so going to those, we got to see all the top UFC fighters would be walking around like normal, and you'd go up to, hey, good to see your fight, and you know, it was awesome. And those were awesome tournaments, awesome days. No barriers to keep you off the mats. People would circle your match. It was awesome.
It was tremendous. Yeah. It was tremendous. Nate Diaz walking around, BJ Penn.
Yeah, well, BJ Penn was from our academy, so
yes,
I got to see him every day.
Oh, wow. Hey, now back. Dan, I know a lot of people may not know, but before you got deep into jiu-jitsu with Ralph Gracie, you and your brother was your first martial art judo? Was that the first art that you studied?
Yes.
And did your dad get you into that, or your older brother? How did that work? Well,
so my brother's younger, and I started judo at 4, and he's 4 years younger. So, but yeah, my father was leaving every night. I didn't know where he was going, and I asked him one night, "Where are you going?" And he goes, "I'm going to judo. Do you want to go?" And so yeah, And the one time I went, he wouldn't let me quit. So that was the end of that.
I just learned some. I did not know your brother was younger than you. Wow, that's learn something new all the time.
Yeah,
so
he
your dad
just
was your dad.
far older than me. I know. It's all good.
You can't tell.
Hey, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And Mark, I know you too. Before jiu-jitsu, you did judo. Was that your first art?
I was learning judo and jiu-jitsu at the same time. So Dan actually, what's funny is Dan reffed my very first jiu-jitsu match ever at the first PMA. He was Dan was a purple belt. And I just kept trying to go for a drop Sanagi because that's the only throw I knew. But anyhow, it was pretty cool. So,
talking about all these
drops.
Talking about all these fights and stories. Earlier before the show, we talked about perhaps Dan, if you can share an IHOP story that you encountered a few years ago with your brother. I believe was involved in this. Can you share a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, it was actually Denny's.
I want to hear the IHOP story.
It was actually Denny's, and there used
Denny's.
to be, man, there used to be a saying, "Don't go to Denny's with Dan," because there was always a confrontation. But to let everyone know, it was always self-defense. And the one that they're talking about, there was these two girls that just walked in. This is like 2 a.m, and the place is packed. We were in the waiting area at Denny's. We're waiting for our table, and these 2 girls walk in, and these 3 guys walk in faster than them and gets right in front of them and then starts yelling at them. Not just yelling at them, a lot of profanity, pushing them, and you could tell it was escalating, and you could tell that the guy was about ready to hit the girl. You could tell. And so I kind of tapped on my brother, and I told him, "Hey, back me up because we got to do something." Nobody else was doing anything. Security's not doing anything, and I figured somebody has to, And I walk over there, and I put my shoulder up against the girl because he was the one that he was pushing and yelling at. And I told him, I start yelling at him, and he's not even paying attention to me. He's so mad and so fixed on her, he doesn't even see me. And when he reached out to hit her again, like shove her, I deflected his hand off her. So he didn't get to hit her again. I deflected. Now his attention's on me. And he said, "Don't you touch me." And I said, "No, don't you touch him." Before I can finish my words, he shoved me. And that was it. My retaliation was I hit him, I grabbed him, threw him down. And the other guys that he was with were coming right after me. And my brother said that they didn't even know my brother and another friend were behind them. So when they turned towards me, my brother just starts punching one of the guys, and the guy turns towards me, one-arm drags, goes to his back. We to make a long story short, we literally beat the crap out of these guys. Cops finally show up, and they got arrested. So yeah.
This was inside the diner.
Hey, when you're in a situation like that, Dan, like what type of takedown did you use in that situation?
So that was a old traditional, what would you call it? Body lock, outside legs rotated around. I landed on the waiting bench in Denny's. He was trying to hold on to me, so I went knee on belly, cross-faced him till he broke his grip, and then just started. Yeah, we beat him up pretty bad. It was fun.
That's crazy.
Those guys, honestly, they deserved it pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and hey man, and I'm with you 100% in a situation like that. Like somebody has to step up. So, when something like that's going down.
Yeah, I didn't want them to hit the girls.
Nah, and you did what you should have did right there. So did the police show up or anything like that?
Yeah, they actually threatened us. They said they were going to go get their guns and shoot us. I made a comment, said you need a gun because you can't fight. And, they got mad. They took off down the street doing 100, and they got pulled over. And the cop said, "Hey, I knew this was the guys from Denny's because they were all bloody." So they arrested them. Yeah.
What's the most recent
That's
story
crazy.
that you have related to, street experiences? Do you have anything
Yeah,
recent?
So
I didn't even hear this.
So the other day, my son was sick. He had the flu, and he had a fever. So I had to go get children's Tylenol, and I went to the Rite Aid that's not far from my house. Now, I'm right as I'm walking in. This is about 8 o'clock at night. No, 9 o'clock at night. Right as I'm walking in, I see these two guys. I want to say they could be 17, 18 years old. So they're kids to me. You know what I mean? But they had handfuls of liquor, both of them. And they're walking right by the double doors. They're two automatic doors. And I saw them start laughing and then turn towards the double doors. So they were walking to pay for them. But before they got to the counter, they took a left turn, went straight for the doors, which is coming right at me.
Oh,
well, in my left hand, I have my cell phone, my keys, and my wallet because I didn't have pockets at the time. So everything's in my left hand. I had my right hand free. I go, oh, okay, he's going to run right by me. I'm going to throw him. Sure enough, one kid went right when he came out the doors. One kid went right. He got away. But the other kid came straight next to my left side. I said, perfect. Right when he came by me, boom, I grabbed him, Satoshi'd him right to the ground. He dropped all his liquor. He got up and ran. So they got half their liquor back. Yeah, but I threw him on his face.
God, that's crazy. Hey, how does a guy off the street like that, like when you toss them, they don't, they're not familiar with taking falls. How does that end up when the guy doesn't know how to take a fall? And you throw him?
He fell face first. I made him, I did tie a toshi and I had one hand, so I couldn't rotate him to his back. Okay, so he fell face first. He's holding on alcohol. So you can imagine when he's falling, he probably his hands might not have been there in time. He probably scraped everything up.
Had a little face plant.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I bet he wasn't laughing when he went out the door.
What's that?
I bet he wasn't laughing anymore.
No, he took off running, man. He took off running, went straight across the street, didn't even look for cars. He took off running. He was gone.
I remember working with Marc way back in the day. Remember Marc at Bogart and Lulu's, that nightclub?
Oh, yeah.
Marc was me and Marc were bouncers at this nightclub, and that was, how many years was that, Marc? How long ago was that?
2001, 2002.
Those were some interesting days. Yeah, those are some interesting times right there. I wish I would have had like a GoPro or something to videotape some of those moments.
Hey, so
I remember Marc doing those drop knee seoi nagis on people inside that nightclub.
Oh shit!
I'm serious.
They were more like Harai Goshis. They were Harai Goshis.
Hey, those are some crazy times though, because that jiu-jitsu club, was it Jabushi, right? It was one of the first. Yeah. Do you remember that school, Dan? Did you ever train it? Did you ever come over to Jabushi?
Who was running that?
It's Mike.
Mike was running.
I remember going to I think I remember going to the club you're talking about.
Yeah, Mike Stewart was a judo guy. He's staying with Yamamoto.
Yeah, he was a black belt under Samamoto.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
Hey Dan, who was that? The black belt that you were under? He was that Japanese gentleman, and he had his two sons that were black belts. What was that gentleman's name?
Mr. Imamura.
Imamura. Whatever happened to that guy?
He passed away a couple years ago.
A couple years ago. What about his sons? Do you ever see them anymore?
Yeah, they still have a very successful judo club in Fresno. Yeah, they're doing pretty good.
I think we talked about this before. Yeah, so they do. They've kept that judo tradition going.
Yes, they did.
Hey, now that gentleman, just like Samamoto. Hey, we were. A lot of people don't realize it and understand it, but we're pretty fortunate to have those two gentlemen here in the valley. That guy came from your instructor came from a pretty legit line, didn't he?
He was very famous in Japan for his judo. Yes.
Man, that's so cool. That's so cool. So you, your dad, and your brother all got your black belts under him?
Yes. Yes. I don't know if my father did, but yeah, probably. Yeah. But yes, my brother and I did. Yeah, man, miss that guy. He used to just stand there and stare at you while you trained.
I never got to train with him, but I did go to some judo tournaments where he was there, and I did get to meet him a couple times and just see him standing there like coaching your some of the students. He seemed like a pretty cool guy. But Samamoto, I did get to meet him, and man, he was a real gentleman too. And that guy he seemed like he was a pretty legit dude. But yeah, those pretty cool, man. I don't know if your students understand like how good they got it with you and your brother. How's your brother doing?
I guess he's doing okay. He's staying more. He's got like a little ranch house or something. He's staying there, hanging out, practicing.
Where does he live at?
And
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, he is, man. He's you gotta keep up your skills.
That's right.
I agree. I agree. That's something that I'm not doing that I wish I was doing. But yeah, I agree on that. Especially in the days that we're living in now. These are some pretty interesting times, man. These are interesting times. I'm pretty happy to be doing this podcast with Archie and getting to talk with you guys. But this is a pretty trippy time, dude. So what I'd like to do, I was going to ask you if we can come back and do another Inside the Dojo at your school again when this is all clears up.
For sure. Yeah.
And we'll get Mark over there, and we'll do it. We'll get Archie and everybody over there. That'd be cool. What else, Archie? I know you had some other things that you wanted to ask Dan and Mark.
Yeah, one of the questions actually that came out from one of our guys, Xavier. He had a question for Mark. Your experiences too, when you met Dan and when you decided to just get on board, with the Camarillo Jiu-Jitsu. How long has it been?
Yeah, Mark. Mark? On top of that, what was the main thing that got you that you wanted to go with Dan and Dave?
Well, I'd followed Dan and Dave for a while. I mean, probably since the Jibushi days. When these guys are going out there and throwing everybody and finishing them hella quick. It was like, I want to be able to do that. And I've always admired their abilities, but. I never thought I'd be able to, be under Dan or ever get a chance to train with Dan or Dave. But, when we, I started out under Chinguiña, and we were traveling to Orange County to go train, or just training with each other at the club in Visalia. And then train over at your place, after that. And when you closed down, I went to Exeter and started, my own jiu-jitsu program out there. For some reasons, I have my own personal reasons why I switched, but it was mainly because I wasn't getting the support that I was hoping to get where I was at. So we ended up switching to PMA, and I was training with Ted Stobie at the time and Sale Perales, and kind of just jumping around with those guys over there with Matt Smith and Greg Ashbury and those guys, and Jason Hannon. But, there was some issues. And when Ted was spending most of his time with me, and then Ted disappeared at one point for like 6 months, no phone call, no nothing. Hadn't heard from him. And we're running a school, so I couldn't, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get all the support I was trying to get. And someone had mentioned, well, why don't you call Dan or Dave? And so I actually called Dave first, and he kind of gave me an idea of what he would be charging. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can do that. And so he's like, why don't you call my brother? So then I called Dan, and Dan's all, yeah, man, come by, And I think I'd already cross-trained with Dan like once or twice. And, I feel pretty comfortable training with Dan, even though he hurt me the first time. But it's my fault, because I was trying to take it to him, and he just fastered me. So, But at any rate, I met with, I talked to my business partner Rodney, and he's like, yeah, let's talk to Dan and see if we can get under him, since we don't have a black belt coming to our school. So we met Dan over in Ridgecrest with one of his other guys, Joe Kajowski, super cool guy, cool cat, and he had a school over in Ridgecrest. So we went over there and we did some training, and we ate and talked to Dan, and it was pretty much cut and dry. Dan's like, yeah, let's do it, and that was it, man. And been with Dan ever since. So I don't plan on going anywhere. So I have a lot of respect for Dan and everything he's done in the sport. I mean, being famous for doing what you're doing is one thing, but dude, Dan's super generous and super cool guy, man. There's some people let that stardom go to their head a little bit, but Dan's not like that, so that makes it even better. I mean, you can go anywhere in the world and say, yeah, I'm under Dan Camarillo or Dave Camarillo, and they know who they are. So,
Nice.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool, man. I got a lot of respect for it. Hey, Dan, one thing before, I don't want to forget to ask you about this, because one thing that's and I was lucky to be able to do it too, not as much as you though, but was to be able to train with the actual Gracie family. And you, at what point, when you and your brother started training with Half Gracie, I don't know which of you did first, but had you like already seen Hoist Gracie fight in the UFC? Was it something like that? Or how did that work? Because before I ever trained with Half or Crosley or any of the other Gracies, I had seen that first couple UFCs and I saw Hoist, but I never trained with Hoist. Half was the first one that I was able to train with. How did it work for you, going from judo into Half Gracie Jiu-Jitsu with actual training with Half?
Yeah, that first UFC, we my brother and I, we were in Japan at the time training, and when we got back, his friend called us up and said, "Hey, I got this VHS tape. You gotta watch it. UFC, blah 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 blah." Starts talking about this little guy beating up everybody, and he does what you guys do, And yeah, we thought the same thing. We watched him fight, and we're all, "Oh yeah, he takes people down, he pins them, and then he submits them." And he was doing arm bars. I do arm bars, and we all thought it was the same stuff. We had moved to Fresno, and my brother got injured. His knee got injured, and judo puts a lot of torque on your knees. So he was desperate to find a jiu-jitsu academy near us. We found a guy in Fresno, but he claimed to be under Hoist, and then he changed his story. He claimed to be under Half. So he told us, "Oh, I'm under Half. I'm a black belt under Half Gracie." So we go, my brother looks up Half Gracie, finds out he's in Pleasant Hill. And we decided to go up there for training. And that's how it started. But the guy lied. So we asked Half, he goes, "Yeah, dude, he was so mad. He could barely speak English, but he got so mad. He wanted to know who this guy was, because he just came to the United States. He didn't promote anyone to black. Do you know what I'm saying? He just got here."
I heard this story.
Yeah, you know Phil Sneedley?
That was his name.
Yes, Phil Sneedley out of Fresno was lying.
Yeah, I remember that story.
He took a picture with Hoist Gracie and his karate black belt, or whatever black belt he had. Then he put it up in his school and said he was a jiu-jitsu black belt.
Oh,
and was people. So anyway, we figured it out.
Crazy.
We didn't go to him. We figured it out. We went to Half. Now, the first training session there, immediately I knew my mat work was not where I thought it was, not even close. So we just started driving up there every single weekend for like 2 years.
And how was because you did have a mat game from judo. How, like, you were a black belt in judo already, right?
Yes. Yeah, I just won the national ladder tournament in Florida. So yeah.
And how was the ground game from judo? Having that black belt in judo, when you went into house, how did it compare your ground game to the Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Hold on, my computer's okay. You know, I was about blue belt level because I was tapping their blue belts, and their blue belts were they were tapping me. I was right at blue belt. Purple belt, you can forget about it. I got demolished. So.
And was BJ already there at that time?
No, that was way before BJ. That was like a year before.
That was before BJ came.
Yeah.
And Mark, you were like me. We were just here, like we were like learning about Dan and your brother and all these other guys. Mark, how long was it did you watch like Dan and Dave before you actually did get a train with them?
Years, man. And probably
it was a while, right?
Maybe like, man, since I started, like 15 years before I actually got to train with Dan, and then another like 2 years, 3 years where I actually got to train with Dave. Dan's a lot bigger than Dave, but they're like the same. They're like the same speed, so it's like it's crazy. Dave, I don't know if it's, I don't know, I don't know, like if they're trying to be nice to me or what, but like, I know Dan doesn't do a whole lot of flying attacks on me. I think he's trying to protect me from getting hurt. But when I roll with his brother, man, he was all over me, man, like jumping in the air attacks like crazy. But luckily, it's kind of expected, But yeah, I mean,
you gotta put your hand out. Put your hand out like this. Right
yeah,
jumps, put your hand
I realized.
Is that how the match starts? Anytime you have to put your hand out. That's what is that what you go for? Is that your
No, I wait till my brother jumps and I put my hand out and he falls. You gotta time it.
Yeah. Push your hips away. Anyhow, yeah, it was like 15 years, man. And well, this is that story I was saying earlier. I got the first time I rolled with Dan, I'd already seen all his videos. I mean, most of them that were on YouTube and stuff, and I knew he was fast, and I knew he was going to armbar me. So the first time I rolled with Dan, like I'm sitting there, I'm watching him roll a little bit. It was my first time there, and I had rolled with, at the time he had like a purple belt there, was pretty good. His name was Fernie, and I rolled with him, and and then I was trying to save myself for Dan, and so then it came the chance for me to roll with Dan for the very first time ever. And I knew he was going to be super fast and super technical. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try. I just, I was just younger. I just want to catch him. That's what you wanted. That's what all the lower belts try to do, all the black belts. It's just expected. So I went like super fast and hard on Dan, and I tried to hit like this. I get down from stand up, and I knew he was going to throw me. So I wasn't going to stay standing with him. So I like pulled guard and then shot into an ankle lock position, like really fast. And I've never been knee barred so fast in my life, dude. He like literally was falling into the knee bar, and my knee was popping. We didn't hit the ground yet.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Sorry.
I yelled a little bit, and he's like, "You all right?" I'm like holding my knee, and I'm like, "Yeah." It only popped like a couple times. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. He's like, "We're gonna go get some tacos and a beer. Come on, I'll get you dinner." And I'm like, "Okay." I was sitting there stuck. I can barely walk out of his academy, dude, and my knees all swelled up. And I'm going to have beer and tacos with him. So
as long as there was beer and tacos, it was all good.
Right? So that was my first experience with
beer
Dan.
Feels everything, man.
After that, it took me like 6 weeks, 7 weeks to recover from it. But then I came back, and I just didn't, I wasn't trying to take Dan's head off anymore. I just was trying to be like play as technical as I could, and he just continually to armbar me over and over and over and over again. And I think to this day he still armbars me. So nothing's changed.
So Dan, is there a nickname? I was going to ask, is there a nickname called the Arm Hunter, Dan? Is that how you got your nickname, or what, is there a story behind that?
Yeah, Half Gracie's it was very well known to everyone had nicknames. I was one of the last one of the group to get one. But I was training with one of the guys, and over and over and over. Him and I used to train a lot, more so than I would with switching partners. Because me and him, we flowed real well. And I just kept catching arm bars or trying to get the arm bars just so many times. And he finally gave me that nickname. He goes, "It's like you're hunting arms." And he goes, "Wait a minute, that's what we'll call you." And he called me the arm hunter, and then it stuck. So yeah, that was in 90. No, that was like 89 or so. That was 88 something. No, wait. No, I'm sorry. That was 97, 98. 98, that's what it was.
And ever since then, you've been hitting them arm bars.
So long ago, I forget the years. Yeah, arm bars, I just
Hey,
see,
you guys,
man. It doesn't
you
matter
guys
where I'm
ever go
at.
up there and train with Health?
Oh, not anymore. I don't even know where he's at right now with what happened.
No,
I don't.
you guys haven't seen him in a while.
Do you know where he's at? I don't know where he's at.
No, I don't. I haven't heard anything about him.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What about you, Archie? What do you got? What's coming up next for us?
Well, we're just going to see what's going on with the MMA industry for now. We're just going to be, I like this setting here. I mean, just bringing in guys from the same club, people that know each other, and just, get together online and just wait this thing out. This is cool.
Hey, Mark and Dan, do you guys have any sponsors or anybody like that you guys want to talk to or give a little shout out to?
CK's been real good to me. I'm really, sponsors. I like to give them room to give it to the people who really need it. So I'm able to support myself financially. I can buy my own product, so I don't hunt for sponsors too often. But we buy a lot of our geese for the kids and for the some of the adults, and we order them CK geese. So I've got a good connection with them. So I'll give a shout out to them.
Hey, and what about you, Mark? You got any tips for these people that are locked up in this quarantine right now? Like, or you even you are
quarantine.
I'm going nuts, man.
Just stay active, man.
Yeah, stay active. I think that's the biggest thing.
You gotta stay active, and what sucks is not being around other people to motivate you to work out. And I know that's a big issue for a lot of people, is not having someone else there to push you. It's like when you're rolling, you've got someone right there, pushing you, and making you work harder. But just working out on your own, that's hard. I just started doing biking, so I've been biking, and it's a lot of fun because it gets me out of the house and it's a good leg workout. But stay active. As far as sponsors, I wanted to say something too. Like, CK has also been good to me. I got hooked up to with them through Dan as well, and they've been, we use them as our major company for our geese for adults and kids. But I do have a sponsor that this, as far as like competing, I generally don't try to hunt for sponsors too much, but I really like Holdfast, and they sponsor me and get me stuff on a whim, man. I'll tell them, hey, I took a fight. I'm fighting in 5-6 days. I'll shoot them a message. They're like, what do you want? What do you need? And they know my size, and they shoot me a whole get every single time, man. No questions asked. They've always been there for me, man. So they're a really good company. They're based out of New York, but they're called Holdfast Fight Gear. And they like to sponsor like ex-military people. So if there's guys out there looking for sponsors and you compete a lot and you're ex-military, hit up Holdfast. They're doing sponsorships right now. So hit them up, man. They're awesome. So.
All right, Mark. All right, Dan, we appreciate it, man. Thanks once again for taking the time and coming on the show. I want to say one thing too is Gentle Art CBD, guys. If you're looking for a good CBD for pain, anxiety, whatever your CBD needs, me and Arch have been using it. It's pretty good stuff. And then La Enchilada Mexican food, guys. You want a damn good burrito, some tacos, la enchilada. It's there for you. Dan, thank you again. Mark, thanks again. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll try to get you guys in the studio next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Archie, anything
yeah.
else?
Yeah, no, thanks, Dan. Thanks, Mark. And we'll be seeing you guys out there on the mats real soon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. Be safe.
Gentlemen,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.